What's up, everybody on YouTube and everywhere else? Kris Gethin here. Now, I'm going to be talking to you right now about ketogenic diets, the pros and the cons. So last year, I followed a cyclical ketogenic diet where in the evenings, I would knock myself out of what's called ketosis with some fruits, some berries, just to make sure that I had a balanced diet when I was on a keto diet. Because what does a keto diet look like? Well, it looks like a lot of fats. That is the mainstay of your nutritional value and your energy source. You, instead of being glycogen receptive or using a lot of glycogen and glucose and carbohydrates as your energy source, you eradicate carbs out of your diets and you replace them with fats. Now, the protein will be all dependent on how active you are. The amount of protein that I ate on a ketogenic diet, most people would say that's going to knock you out of ketosis, but they have no idea how hard I'm training, and that could come from an endurance perspective or a strength perspective. I was doing a lot of endurance work, so I was starved of a lot of protein. So my protein requirements were a little bit higher. However, the mainstay of my diet was of fats, so I could use what was called ketones as my energy source as opposed to glycogen, which comes from the breakdown of carbohydrates, okay? So the fats that I would be utilizing would be like avocado, nuts, seeds, egg yolks, oily fish, salmon, olive oil, kind of like a Mediterranean diet. So healthy fats that had a good nutritional profile. It's nutrient dense as well as calorie dense. There are other forms of ketogenic diet which people use as a justification, which those people are probably going to have a heart attack sometime soon if they continue down that path of vegetable oils, a lot of ghee, a lot of butter, a lot of bad saturated fats, having sausages and all sorts. That's not what I consider a true ketogenic diet because it's nutritionally weak. You can eat a lot of fat, but the nutrients that you gain from that are very weak, very diluted. So you want to try to go for a heavily nutrient source of fats. Okay, now the pros and cons. So I did it cyclical whilst I was doing intermittent fasting. An intermittent fast of around 16 hours of fasting and then having an 8-hour window of eating would put me into ketosis relatively quick. So if I got knocked out of ketosis in the evening because I'm having some fruits or if I'm having some carbs, by the time I finished my fast till the afternoon of the next day, I'm back into ketosis very, very quick. Now the pros for me following a ketogenic diet, especially with fasting as well, is that it removed my body of a lot of inflammatory responders. So if you have a blood panel, you may be not allergic, but you may have a lot of inflammatory responders to certain nuts, to eggs especially. People have inflammatory responders to chicken, maybe a lot of gluten sources, okay? So if you're following a clean fat diet and removing yourself of a lot of those foods and maybe going for, fresh caught fish as opposed to the farmed fish, and maybe going for organic and humane raised chicken over the factory farmed chicken, then you can remove yourself of a lot of those inflammatory markers and increase the speed of the removal of those inflammatory markers very, very quickly on a ketogenic diet. There have been a lot of proven cases where people have inflammatory responders which become cancerous, to remove themselves and reverse that process through a ketogenic diet. A lot of mental disorders, whether they be Parkinson's, whether it be Alzheimer's, and a lot of other issues, depression, bipolar-like symptoms, have been reduced when people have followed a ketogenic diet. That is constantly being reported. So you may find if you're having a lot of brain fog, if you're feeling bloated, you're feeling sluggish and you follow a ketogenic diet, after several days, maybe a week, you'll remove yourself of that bloat, of those inflammatory markers, and of the brain fog. Now, when I'm following something more along the lines of a muscle building program, I train with a lot of volume. So the ketogenic diet doesn't work for me as well that I've found. I don't get the fullness in the muscle, obviously because I don't have the glycogen response within the muscle. You'll notice that you remove yourself of a lot of sodium and electrolytes when you're on a ketogenic diet because you don't hold fluid as well. So, you're not able to get that pump from the sodium that you'd get as well. So I find when I'm on a muscle building program, I like to remove myself of a lot of the fats and push in a lot of carbohydrates in replacement of that. One of the great things though, when you're on a ketogenic diet and you go in high fats, you find you don't have to eat that often because you're getting so many calories, not a lot of volume, but so many dense calories in one sitting. So when I was doing a lot of endurance work last year, as opposed to like glycogen filling all the time and refilling, I just found that I just needed a couple of bigger, heavier sort of meals with fats, and I'd be able to go for many, many hours of doing cardio without constantly filling up on carbohydrate powders or gels or any other of the sort. So those are my pros and cons of the ketogenic diet. But if you do have any specific questions, please ask them below in the comment section. But I'm going to ask you this one question as well. Have you followed a ketogenic diet? And what did you find was the pros and cons? And how can I help you get over them? Okay? If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.